Unity shares 7 signs that predict how long you'll live after 70, scientifically proven. Hey there, my friends. Pull up a chair, grab a cup of coffee, or maybe a glass of sweet tea if you're feeling southern, and let's have a heart-to-heart. My name's Charlie, and I'm 90 years young. That's right, I've been around the block a few times, seen the world change in ways you wouldn't believe, and learned a thing or two about what it means to live a long, joyful life. I'm here today to share some wisdom with you, especially if you're in your 50s, 60s, or just starting to think about what life after 70 might look like. You know, when I was your age, I used to wonder, how long will I live? Will I still be kicking it at 80, 90, or beyond? And let me tell you, I wasn't alone. We all want to know the secret to a long, healthy life, don't we? Well, I've got some good news. Science has come a long way, and there are actual signs backed by research that can give us a pretty good idea of how long we might live after 70. Today, I'm going to walk you through 7 scientifically proven signs that can predict your longevity. These aren't just guesses or old wives' tales. They're based on studies, data, and real-life experiences, including a few from yours truly. Now, this isn't about scaring you or making you feel like you've got to check every box perfectly. Life's too short for that. Instead, think of this as a roadmap, a way to make small, meaningful changes that can add years to your life and, more importantly, life to your years. I'm going to share stories from my own journey, sprinkle in some science, and maybe even throw in a little humor because, let's face it, at 90, you learn to laugh at the little things. So, let's dive in and talk about these 7 signs that can tell you how long you'll live after 70. Ready? Here we go. Let's start with something simple. Staying active. Now, I'm not talking about running marathons or lifting weights like you're training for the Olympics. Unless that's your thing, then more power to you. Science shows that regular physical activity, even something as easy as a daily walk, can add years to your life. A study from the Journal of the American Medical Association found that folks over 70 who walked just 150 minutes a week, that's about 20 minutes a day, had a 20% lower risk of dying early compared to those who sat around all day. Let me tell you about my buddy George. He's 85 now, and back when we were in our 70s, George wasn't exactly a gym rat. But every morning, rain or shine, he'd walk his dog, Rusty, around the neighborhood. It wasn't fast and it wasn't fancy, but those walks kept George's heart strong, his joints loose, and his mind sharp. He'd stop to chat with neighbors, wave at kids on their bikes, and come home feeling like $1,000,000. Today, George is still out there walking, and he swears that's why he's still here cracking jokes and beating me at cards. So what can you do? Start small. Take a 10-minute walk after dinner. Dance to your favorite Beatles or Motown tunes in the living room. Or, if you're like my granddaughter, try a yoga class at the community center. The key is to keep moving, because your body's like a car. If you don't drive it, it's going to rust. Next up, let's talk about your friends, family, and the folks you share a laugh with. Did you know that having a strong social network can help you live longer? A study from Harvard University followed people over 70 for decades and found that those with close relationships, whether the spouse, kids, or a weekly book club, lived longer and stayed healthier than those who felt lonely. Loneliness, it turns out, is as bad for your health as smoking or high blood pressure. That's serious stuff. I'll never forget my late wife, Evelyn. She passed 10 years ago, but she was the queen of keeping people connected. Every Sunday, she'd host a potluck at our house. Neighbors, cousins, even a mailman would show up with a dish. Those gatherings weren't just about food. They were about love, laughter, and feeling like you belonged. Even now, at 90, I make it a point to call my old pals, join the seniors group at church, and play dominoes with my grandkids. It keeps my heart full, and according to science, it's keeping me alive. If you're feeling a bit disconnected, don't worry. It's never too late to build your circle. Join a hobby group, volunteer at the local animal shelter, or just call up an old friend and say, "Hey, let's grab coffee." Trust me, those connections are like medicine for your soul. All right, let's talk about food, because who doesn't love a good meal? Scientists have found that what you eat after 70 can make a big difference in how long you live. A Mediterranean diet, think veggies, fruits, whole grains, fish, and a splash of olive oil, has been linked to lower rates of heart disease, dementia, and even cancer. A study in The Lancet showed that folks over 70 who ate this way lived up to 5 years longer on average. Now, I'm not saying you've got to give up your Friday night pizza or that apple pie at Thanksgiving. Life's too short to skip dessert. But I learned a trick from my doctor back in my 70s. Fill half your plate with colorful veggies, a quarter with lean protein like chicken or beans, and a quarter with whole grains like brown rice. I started doing this. And let me tell you, I felt like I could keep up with my grandkids at the park. Here's a quick story. My neighbor, Martha, was diagnosed with high cholesterol at 72. Instead of going on a boring diet, she started experimenting with recipes: grilled salmon with lemon, roasted veggies with garlic, even smoothies packed with spinach. Not only did her cholesterol drop, but she also started hosting cooking nights with her friends. At 80, she's still whipping up feasts and looking healthier than ever. So, eat like you love yourself, and your body will thank you. Here's a big one: keeping your brain active. Studies, like one from neurology, show that people over 70 who engage in mentally stimulating activities, think puzzles, reading, or learning a new skill, have a lower risk of dementia and live longer. It's like exercise for your brain, and it's just as important as hitting the gym. When I turned 75, I decided to learn how to play the harmonica. Let me tell you, I was terrible at first. My grandkids would cover their ears and laugh, but I kept at it. Not only did I get pretty good, well, decent enough to play Happy Birthday at family parties, but it gave me something to focus on, something to look forward to. Plus, it made me feel like a kid again, learning something new. You don't have to pick up an instrument. Try crossword puzzles, join a book club, or take a free online course about history or photography. My friend Dorothy, who's 88, started painting watercolors at 70, and now her house looks like an art gallery. Keep your mind curious, and it'll keep you young. All right, let's get a little deep here. Your attitude matters a lot. Research from Yale University found that older adults with a positive outlook on aging, like believing they can still live a full, happy life, lived up to 7.5 years longer than those who felt old and useless. That's huge. Your mindset can literally add years to your life. I'll be honest, when I hit my 80s, I had some tough days. My knees weren't what they used to be, and I missed Evelyn something fierce. But I made a choice to focus on the good stuff, like watching my great-grandkids play soccer or enjoying a sunset on my porch. I started keeping a gratitude journal, just jotting down 3 things each day that made me smile. It sounds simple, but it changed everything. Take my cousin Frank, for example. At 78, he got diagnosed with arthritis, and it slowed him down. But instead of complaining, he started telling everyone, "I'm still here, and that's a gift." He'd crack jokes, share stories, and make everyone around him feel better. Frank's 92 now, and his positivity is contagious. So, try to see the glass as half full. It's not just good for your soul, it's good for your health. This one's a no-brainer, but it's worth mentioning. Taking care of your health. Regular checkups, managing chronic conditions, and listening to your doctor can make a big difference. A study from the Centers for Disease Control found that people over 70 who kept up with screenings, like blood pressure checks or cancer screenings, had a 30% lower risk of dying from preventable causes. Now, I'm not saying you need to live at the doctor's office or worry about every little ache. Balance is key. Back in my 70s, I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. It was scary, but my doctor helped me make a plan. Watch my sugar, take my meds, and keep moving. I didn't let it define me, but I didn't ignore it either. Today, I'm managing it just fine, and I still enjoy the occasional slice of pecan pie. Think of it like maintaining a house. You fix the leaks, paint the walls, and keep the furnace running. Your body's the same way. Get your flu shot. Check your cholesterol. And if something feels off, don't wait. Call your doctor. It's not about being perfect. It's about giving yourself the best shot at a long life. Last but not least, let's talk about purpose. Science shows that having a reason to get out of bed every morning can add years to your life. A study in The Lancet found that people over 70 who felt their life had meaning, whether it was volunteering, gardening, or spending time with family, lived longer than those who felt aimless. For me, My purpose has changed over the years. In my 70s, it was being a grandpa, teaching my grandkids how to fish and telling them stories about the old days. Now at 90, it's about sharing what I've learned with folks like you, recording this video, knowing it might help someone live a little longer or a little happier. That's what keeps me going. I'll never forget my friend Clara. At 75, she started volunteering at a local food bank. She'd spend hours packing groceries and chatting with people, and it gave her a spark I hadn't seen in years. Clara's 93 now, and she still shows up every week saying, if I can help one person, it's worth it. Find something that lights you up, whether it's planting a garden, mentoring a young person, or even writing a blog. It doesn't have to be big. It just has to matter to you. Well, there you have it, my friends. The 7 signs that can predict how long you'll live after 70, straight from the heart of a 90-year-old who's still here, still smiling and still learning. Let's recap real quick. Stay active. Keep your friends close. Eat like you care. Challenge your mind. Stay positive. Take care of your health. And find your purpose. These aren't just check boxes. They're ways to live a life that's full, rich, and worth every second. I know life after 70 can feel uncertain. Maybe you're worried about your health, your finances, or what the future holds. But let me tell you something. Every day you wake up is a chance to make it better, to laugh a little louder, to love a little deeper. You don't have to do it all at once. Start with one small step. Maybe a walk tomorrow morning or a phone call to an old friend. Those little moments add up, and before you know it, you're not just living longer, you're living better. I want to leave you with a quote that's carried me through the years from the poet Mary Oliver. Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? Think about that. Your life is precious, no matter your age. So go out there and make it count. If you found this helpful, hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so we can keep sharing wisdom together. Drop a comment below. Tell me which of these signs you're going to try, or share a story about how you're living your best life after 70. I read every single one, and I love hearing from you. Until next time, this is Charlie, your 90-year-old friend, saying, keep moving, keep loving, and keep shining. See you soon.